Thank you very much. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank Alexander, David, and everybody for having invited me. It's a great pleasure to be here. Second of all, I would like to apologize to not have had the opportunity to be more here, because we had some meetings and so on, and also some hard partying to do yesterday, so it was a little bit, No, we had some work to do. And I realized that I'm supposed to talk about the future. And, I would like to say there's no future. What do I mean? I mean that the future is now. And we are doing the future now, as we are making the past now. Future and past are projections. It's the way we look forward or the way we look back. And that is in constant change. It's our own creation. So from a philosophical point of view, I would like to bring this in, because the responsibility is yours. It's not mine. I'm not going to tell you what to do. It's ours. Especially in agreeing with the previous speaker, we live in a world of uncertainty. But the question is, didn't we always live in a world of uncertainty? And we were convinced there was a future, and after all, there was not. And here we are. And this is the reason why I changed the presentation I was going to do. I was thinking that I would come and talk about policy making. That's what I now do more in Brussels. As you possibly saw in my bio, I advised the European Commission in an initiative called STARTS. I helped the European Commission build this initiative, which is about integrating artists in the world of science and technology for innovation. So to work with industry and bring new ideas to industry. And I also work for NATO. I advise NATO in creating their arts program, which is a completely different story. While in the context of the European Union or the European Commission, it's about processes of creating innovation or bridging to new concrete applications. In NATO is more about promoting cultural expression through the arts. So I'll briefly refer to the NATO Arts Program, so you don't say I didn't talk about it. But I think for you it will be more useful what I have to show you. So less policy making, but more concrete, a concrete project on the ground. The context of NATO is that, as you know, NATO moved to a new building in Brussels, a brilliant place. And NATO had a collection of artworks that were donated by nations. It's a common practice, commemorative practice, that in certain occasions NATO received some artworks. And that's where they hire me to understand how to frame that, how to deal with those artworks, and also what to do with the coming artworks, and how to engage in culture in a more general idea. And the idea is, of course, to nurture dialogue, to nurture what in NATO is called the consultation process, where that's why the institution is so actually relevant, is because there everybody can talk to everybody. Estonia can talk to Portugal, Portugal can talk to France at a distance of 2 steps. And this is an amazing context where culture plays a role, and it's going to play potentially a different role or a more supported role. Now, back to the context of the European Commission, the STARTS initiative, that, as I said, is about bringing artists into the field of science and technology to promote innovation. The story is a bit different. We are working to promote works on the ground. And basically, I could go through the policy design, and that was my idea. But I briefly tell you that in STARTS, we support artists in working in research projects and in companies from the works that are being developed there. The European Commission has some funds to support the coming of artists into your companies or into your universities, into your research projects. And here, the European Commission funds the artists. So you have to fund yourselves, and the public funds will fund the artists, because this is where the newness is. There's also some prizes. You will see if you go to starts.eu that there are the Starts prizes, and there's Starts Academy. There's a number of activities. But the story I would like to tell you is about how me as an artist, myself as an artist, and as an entrepreneur in an European project is making the future happen. So the European Commission put in recently, 2 years ago, a total of 100 million euros in what we call innovation pilot projects. What we call, you see there, for the LSPs. LSP means large-scale pilots. So these are 5 projects that address the context of Internet of Things. I'm sure you know about Internet of Things. Even if you're talking about AI, you must know about Internet of Things. But you should also know that AI also does not exist. But different story, next conference. So these projects are about the Internet of Things, and the Internet of Things is about what this previous speaker just showed, you know, these environments that have a lot of sensors that communicate with a sort of a server, a cloud, and that adapt your environment to what is sensing, right? So this is applicable to almost any area of life, of society, economy, of production, and so on. So the European Commission put out 5 pilot projects that range from health to automotive, autopilots, you see cars that drive themselves, that drones that help farming. There's a project about food and farming, you know, telling the supermarkets, telling the farmers, hey, we don't need so much corn, we need more potatoes, right? In real time. And as you might understand, this has huge implications. What do? We have a project called Create IoT that is supposed to supervise these projects, to make them talk to each other. And there, my company, ArtShare, and with other colleagues, we run the artistic perspective. We are the artistic partners. So we come from a future where we were saying we should have partners that are artists to the present where we have them now. And this is building the future. So the aim of this Create Your IoT is to stimulate business development through the arts by inspiring individuals and groups to create innovative solutions by assembling technologies made available by these large-scale pilots. So that's why I thought this would be interesting for you. You can use the technologies that the European Commission is funding at the moment to those companies, because they are making them available to you. You can make other businesses on top of this other business. And this is what, you see, that picture over there is the context that we see as interest to promote this potential new business. You see myself there as the entrepreneur artist that does the context, that establishes the context. You see the European Commissioner, Maria Gabriel, that is the person that represents the institution that is funding, that is promoting this innovation. You see on the left side the lady that is showing this new technology. So in my mind, she's the one that is been funded by the European Union and is developing these technologies. And the child, if you want, represents the future, which is in the present, which is our companies, my company, your companies, all the companies that you're thinking of. And all of this, we do it in the starts mode, science, technology, and the arts. So to say is not just about the arts, it's about innovation, it's about IoT policies, it's about cultural management, SMEs engagement, and market analysis. So we have a group of people that are clearly have distributed capabilities, but focused on particularly innovation and with inclusion of artists. So, as I said, Create IoT is this project that goes through all the other projects. We believe that innovation is done by individuals. You know that a startup is a guy that has an idea and wants to make it bigger, right? And then it becomes bigger, becomes an SME. Maybe it dies, maybe it doesn't, maybe it creates other stuff, right? We also believe that artists are very, very good in shifting perspectives. And this is where, if you are in business, or if you want to go in business, you already know that you have to constantly shift perspective to see things from many, many angles. And some artists are good in facilitating interaction. So our goals are to concretely work with regional innovation actors, those guys I told you about, which means that we might work in the future soon. Part of the meetings we had today were to see if there is a possibility to work more in this. The idea is to work with emerging open standards and architectures, because this is really important for the future of technology and for our future, is that for you to have access to those technologies, you have to know how to deal with them. And this is where the European Commission is putting money in a very concise way, and is saying, we are paying you, those other companies and universities, to develop these technologies, but these technologies have to be made available, and they are. And that's why with bringing artists, we think we can work with other companies, with companies from inside and outside the European Union context, to promote new business. You see, there's policy making there. And this, I think, is very important also for companies, because companies can, at a certain point, have to do policy making. They have to go and talk to the politicians, with the influencers. Because if you're developing a new area and you need more support to your area, you have to promote it not only towards your partners, but also towards your governments. Your governments should help you. We develop a methodology of how, in the cycle of ICT development, which is now a cycle that I think talks to you all, right? We are all developing apps, we are all developing websites, we are all developing some sort of thing that involves technology. That's why IoT is important. Some years ago, we used to talk about ubiquity. Now it's IoT and AI. Next year is going to be something different, but it's the same. It's about technology everywhere. And you see that there are a number of activities that one can do that can promote better technologies by interaction with more creative people. As you see there, very simply, you have hackathons, artistic residencies, exhibitions, and so on. And then here you have the cycle of the creation of a new technology, when you try to identify the needs for the technology, where you expose that technology to somebody and see, oh, is this a good idea or not? When then after that you improve your technology, and then the process that is now in a very fashionable way being called co-creation, you see. I'm not sure if you talked about this idea here already in this conference, because as I said, unfortunately I was not present, but I think it's more or less clear to us all that also the user is no longer, right? Now we are all beta testers, we are all co-creators. When Apple brings the new system every year, it doesn't work in the first month, because they are testing with us, we are testing with them, we are collaborating. Every time an update for an app comes up, it doesn't work very nice. What do you think is happening? These companies are looking how it's working, what are the failures, and they're correcting them in real time. This is a process that we tend to call co-creation. And then, in this context, this idea of which type of artists we should work with, because not all artists are interested in this. So here you have a number of artists that were in START's residencies, that they have a particular ability, but as an example, I would like to bring up Jaromir Rojo, which is one of the key persons in Bitcoin, right? In the past, possibly we would not think that an artist would be working in Bitcoin. And actually, Jaromir was very influential in the fact that when Bitcoin wanted to split, him and the group of people that created Bitcoin said, no, we don't want Bitcoin to go that way, and it did not go that way. So the notion of artistic practices is quite wide. I'm going to skip this one because so this is important, you see, is that in this project, what we do is that everything we do, we make available. All the ideas we have, we put it on a wiki. So you guys can go for it, but also we are forced to communicate and think about it better. And of course, the best is when you have companies that are already doing it.
My name is Esra Aydin. I work for Volkswagen Group, and I take care of international art and design collaborations. In my experience, it can be fruitful and beneficial and very inspiring to be in contact with artists, to work with them and to learn from them. In my job, I'm very often working with art institutions, and we try to be in dialogue. For example, we invite our experts, our future researchers, our designers to be in dialogue with curators, with artists and other partners. And this is always a lot of fun, and I think both parties inspire each other a lot.
Hello, my name is Lisa Prezioda and I work for the corporate research department of the German company Bosch. And there at the innovation platform 12, we've been working with artists for 3 years now. And we thought that innovation really needs an outside perspective and that artists can really contribute to that. My ask is to bring artists together with researchers to help them change perspectives and also to develop this interdisciplinary exchange further. So here at the STARS corporate event, I'm looking forward to meet other people who are exchanging with artists, other companies as well, and just get some ideas maybe on how to develop our program further.
So, as you see, when we were thinking we were building the future, we didn't quite understand that already these big companies were doing it, because this is a movement that is emerging. We are doing it in Europe, and I believe Europe is a leader in this field, because we interact a lot with the US, we interact a lot with other economic powers like South Korea, Japan, and so on. But it was already happening, so it's another indication that the future is now. It's happening. And for you to better understand what happened to me as well, so I'm Portuguese, right? And I understood that the second employer in Portugal, who is Bosch, right after the Portuguese state, is already working with artists. So it's very interesting, and it's very interesting to understand the influence of all this. We also do works with children, as I said, right, that involve policy making. I just go quickly the images, because I also think this is very important for when you build your own products. A very good way to bring your products in is to generate work with children, to work with students, to show them your product, because it allows you to improve it and at the same way promote it. I really just want to go to the last example. See, we are present in many activities all over. Ars Electronica, I don't know if you heard about Ars Electronica. This is a very interesting project. It's about smart cities and augmented reality and bringing out all these new ideas. But I want to leave more time for questions. And I would like to just tell you the story of a work that I am actually working on, which is the connected Henry. So, as an artist, I came to the LSPs, to these large-scale pilots, and I found out one of them that is using sensors to control chicken production. So, of course, what came to my mind was this. So I will stop it right there because it can be really shocking, right? And for those that don't know, this is a film called Baraka. And what came to my mind is, what are we doing? Are we promoting this? Are the sensors going to do this? And then I started looking in different, what really is happening in some other places. So I think at this point, you got the point, right? So those were henneries that you move in your farm. You don't feed the chicken. The chicken prepares the land for you to cultivate after. So it's what is called, I understood and learned, is called permaculture. So where closed cycles of sustainability, right? And also it's interesting to learn that actually chicken that are free, they taste better. That happiness is connected with the quality of the meat, right? And this is what I brought to my colleagues that are developing the sensors that I thought were the first thing. And in reality, what I found out that what they are developing is a system that monitors the life cycle of the chicken in the O process. And they are actually looking at the better quality of life for them, including a small detail in this system is that, you see, this is when they transport them to their final moment, and they use smart bracelets. And I was wondering, why do the people that transport the chicken use a smart bracelet? Because the smart bracelet helps them to move with care the chicken from one position to the other, because this can be a traumatic experience for them. So in reality, the artistic inclusion in this, such a big, you see, a project like this is huge, huh? It's like 3 farms in Spain that are doing all these experiments to improve and to implement something that is really needs to be good, right? And it is good. So, and to finalize, I'll tell you what is the artwork that I am developing around this. Is I'm using the exact same technologies that are being used by the big projects to create a permaculture system with the exact same technology, with the exact same sensors, with the exact same cloud services, and so on. And this is where I would like, and of course it's an artwork, right? So it's about the fact that a camera in the hennery and analyzes and predicts somehow with AI where the chicken want to go. So they actually control their own environment. So we are using technology to cut another human control step in the context of the animals, that is that the guy was moving, stuff like that. Now they move themselves around and they choose where they want to go, and we can monitor their life quality, we can monitor the quality of our land and so on. So, and this is doable. Even I can do it, you see. So if I can do it, anybody can. And my provocation, or not a provocation, is that you do it. You can do it. Create your own stuff. Create the present, and it's going to be a better future. Thank you very much.